Hi Libras, and welcome to your March 2019 Tarology 33 reading. We have a Celtic cross spread in front of us. You guys got quite a few extra cards that came up in your spread, and then we also have 2 oracle cards to take a look at and a mudra card as well. So we'll get through the main spread first, starting with the first card in the main situation position, which is the Tower. So pretty sure you guys got the Tower last month as well, which, it's rare to get it twice in a row, but this could just be saying that, maybe whatever it was that happened in February, or, just dealing with the aftermath of that in March, I would say it's pretty unlikely to get 2 Tower moments in back-to-back months. So that's the only reason I feel this might be just dealing with the leftover, the leftover chaos from all that. Or it could have just been maybe the February reading was pointing to that energy coming in your direction, and now maybe as we get into March, this is when it does happen. It could go either way. What I would say is, for anyone who's particularly worried about this energy, what I usually recommend when I see this card is I tell people to get some black tourmaline. Mainly because the striations down there at the bottom remind me of the raw black tourmaline, how it usually looks. And it's a good protection stone to have. It's relatively inexpensive too, so definitely something you guys could look into. But yeah, what I think this could be, because when I see the Tower like that, I want to see what's around it. And in the Challenger obstacle position, we have the Queen of Pentacles, and we have the World card. So to me, what this could be saying is this is something that you might have known deep down you needed to walk away from anyway. And with these cards in the challenge position, the Queen of Pentacles, that's a Capricorn energy. And technically the World card can point to some Capricornish type energy as well. But more so because I think the reason people make that connection is, me personally, I view this as a bit of a Saturn energy, also North Node energy. So really, seeing this here, to me, it's saying that the Challenger obstacle was that something needed to be completed, right? And maybe you were holding on to that. You're like, all right, I'm not ready to let it go just yet. And sometimes what will happen in those types of situations, that energy needs to come out some way, right? So if this is something that you needed to walk away from, but you were holding on to it too tightly, you might have ended up in this type of situation. What this could also be pointing to is this could be related to the 4th house, because for you guys, Capricorn is your 4th house, meaning that you're a Libra, and that could represent your home life, your family life, also just beliefs that you've had growing up. Usually they're the belief systems that we get instilled in us early on in life through our family and our home environment. So maybe for some of you, that's just shedding some of those beliefs, right? Maybe some of the ways that you were raised. Maybe you're getting to a point in your life where you're really looking at them again and saying, well, does this really fit my life, right? Maybe this is saying that that's the completion. You're clearing that karma. You're like, yeah, you know what, that was great for my parents or whatever, but I kind of want to do things a different way. Maybe that's how it's playing out for some of you. I'm not really getting the vibe that it's like a physical thing, really. I feel like it's more emotional. And I'll get to why I think that's the case as we go along with the reading. But yeah, your 4th house has a lot going on in it right now. You guys have Saturn in there, and that's a transit that happens every 28 years. So, it's a bit heavy. Pluto's been there for a long time. And then you guys have the South Node in there too. South Node usually transiting through that house, the 4th house, is going to ask you to let things go. So, again, like I said, maybe old beliefs that you've grown up with, you've had your whole life. Maybe you're reviewing them and thinking that maybe it is not the best fit for you. And as far as those of you who could be feeling this the most, let's say those of you who were born around maybe between the 10th and 15th of October, or, let's say your moon is in those degrees, or your rising sign, And then maybe even, yeah, I would say around mid-October, just mid-October in general, because Pluto's not that far off either. So really, for those of you around mid-October, let's say, you could be feeling these energies the most. Um, the thing was too, back in earlier in the year, Mars was making tense aspects with Saturn and then Pluto. But now the good thing is Mars will be in a supportive energy with the Capricorn energy because it's going to be in another Earth sign. So maybe that'll help clear some of that up and at least take away some of the brunt of it from the situation. But it's really the main vibe that I'm getting though. Something, and I mean, the tower tends to point to that energy in general anyway. It's something that, didn't have a sturdy foundation, or at least as sturdy of a foundation as we thought. Something comes along to point that out to us, but it's usually in a pretty abrupt way. But a lot of times when you look at it in hindsight, you're like, okay, you know what, this is something that needed to go anyway. Or even not necessarily go, but maybe be repaired. Like, yeah, you know what, this was something that we were having issues with for a while. Should have looked at it, taken care of it. So it can definitely come across as an abrupt moment. But with the World card in the Challenger obstacle position, to me, if this does happen, it's clearing a way for something that needed to go. You were supposed to be done with it and move on from it at this point. All right, in the foundation position, we got the Knight of Swords and the Hierophant card. So this is actually the court card for Gemini, and then this is the Major Arcana card for Taurus. So on one end, it could be saying that you're dealing with either of those signs. This could also represent you, even though it's technically, like I said, a Gemini card. You guys are also an air sign, so this could very easily point to you maybe taking on more of that energy. You do have Jupiter in your third house, which is the house that Gemini naturally rules. So having Jupiter in your third house could have you taking on more of that energy of Gemini when it comes to communication. So you might, maybe you're the one bringing that tower moment about. Maybe this is you. Again, like I said, the Hierophant could represent traditions, beliefs that we've had, growing up in life, and maybe you're really challenging those and saying that they no longer work for you. For some of you, this could be breaking apart a relationship as well. This could be a traditional committed relationship that you're deciding, you know what, this just isn't working for me anymore. You guys just had Chiron move into your seventh house, so that could bring some healing in your relationships, but usually it can bring some upheaval. If things are bad, that's what it's there to show you. Chiron's referred to as the wounded healer, so sometimes you'll feel that pain before you could heal it, but that could be what it is. I mean, for others of you, it doesn't have to be anything that drastic either. This could just be talking about communication with a Taurus, maybe possibly an argument with a Taurus, and also with the Hierophant, I see that sometimes as big organizations as well. So this could just be maybe, let's say you're having an issue with your job, right? Maybe they owe you some money, some back pay, or they promised you a raise, they weren't giving it to you, or something along those lines. You have the North Node in your 10th house, so that's the good thing. That's the career and social status house, and it's going to be there for about a year and a half. So let's say if this was a job that you decided that you wanted to leave abruptly, usually that's going to lead you to something better. But if it's taken away from you and you weren't ready for it, on the other hand, of course, that's rough, because everybody has bills to pay. So we'll see how this pans out though as we go on. Speaking of Cancer and the North Node in there, in the past position we have the Chariot. So given that this is in the past position, this could be saying that maybe this was a situation that maybe started to go off the rails during the time of Cancer back in 2018. For some of you, it doesn't have to be that far back either. It could just be pointing to around the time of the full moon in Cancer, which was, I want to say, right around the end of December. Yeah, right around the end of December, like right around Christmas time, actually. So maybe that's what this is pointing to. Maybe you started to see some cracks in the foundation then, and maybe this month is finally when it actually does crumble, whatever it may have been. But the Chariot in the upright is usually, it's a good energy to have. It's considered one of the victory cards, and definitely represents forward movement. I usually see this as the north and south node as well too on that card, since the Chariot Cancer is ruled by the moon, and when we refer to the north node, south node, we're talking about the nodes of the moon specifically. So maybe this is talking about that shift, when the node shifted into Cancer as well. Maybe something pretty significant happened for you guys then. Good thing is, with all of that chaos with the Tower potential and the present position, the good thing is we do have the Queen of Swords. So, again, like I said, if this was something that you needed to shed, maybe even something that, from your home environment, just how you were raised, and you're like, you know what, this doesn't really fit what I want my life to be. If that's the case and that's what you were shedding, or whatever you were shedding, the good thing is Queen of Swords is a Libra card. So for this to be in the upright and in the present position, it's good to just be saying whatever it was that happened, you could be feeling more like yourself as we get into March. So this could definitely point to that thing that I was saying, like maybe this is really just pointing to the fact that you guys had the Tower in February, so maybe you're just still doing the cleanup from that. And but yeah, I mean, if we look at that and what she's pointing at in the spread as well, it looks like she's moving forward, right? She's like, you know what, I'm moving forward from this, pointing to that Eight of Wands too, so you could be very communicative, and like we said there, the Knight of Swords, that could also point to that. So, maybe this is you, maybe this was all in your mind, like, okay, this is something I need to get rid of, and now you're finally communicating that to someone. Like I said, if it's an ending that you wanted to put in place, whatever the case may be. The Queen of Swords and Libra energy in general is about balance too. So maybe you were feeling imbalanced with all this chaos going around, but now, okay, as we get into early March, you're feeling a bit more balanced. All right, in the position of the near future, we have the Strength card. So this is the major arcana card for Leo. Some of you could be dealing with the Leos. This is your 11th house as well, so maybe this is saying, whatever you're going through, maybe it's your friends that help pick you up, because the 11th house can point to friendships, certainly. Because, there's nothing really going on in the sign of Leo right now as far as the astrology goes. Although I will say, if we flip that and think of the fact that Leo is the natural ruler of the 5th house, you guys are going to have Venus in your 5th house, which is Aquarius. So maybe that's saying that it helps you get that Leo energy. And especially if you think about, this looks like the lion makes you think of that raw animalistic energy, right? But then we see that woman there, very feminine. So maybe it's saying that Venus energy mixed with that 5th house energy is really going to, just get you feeling back, like you're back on top again. Because, you guys are ruled by Venus too. So usually wherever your ruler goes, you're going to pick up on that energy more than other signs would too. So you combine that with this in the near future, looks like things are on the up and up for you. So, I'm not going to try to sugarcoat the Tower, right? Like, no one ever wants to see it. Even if you look back at it in hindsight and realize it was a good thing, in that moment it feels like hell, right? So, but these are definitely two good cards to see back to back, which is saying that, you're moving forward, regaining your strength. If we want to take that quite literally, you just might feel like, okay, you know what, I made it through the storm. I'm getting back on track now. Okay, in the position of your influence on the situation, we have the 8 of Cups and the 9 of Wands. So these two cards together show me something that's interesting. The main vibe that I'm picking up on with this 8 of Cups to me very clearly represents walking away from something. And, this represents the first 10 degrees of Pisces. So let's say, again, like I was saying, maybe this was just leftover energy from February and you're coming into March, right? And that would be that Pisces energy there, that, the very last week of February into the very start of March is when you're going to have these degrees in play. So maybe that's when you finally do decide to walk away from something. But then with this here, to me, this almost represents like you walk away from something. Usually, this is saying that you're unfulfilled. You're looking for something with greater fulfillment. The next card after this is the Nine of Cups, and that's a cup. It's usually referred to as the wish card. The person looks pretty content or smug, depending on the context you're looking at it in. But usually, I see this as walking away from something that's no longer fulfilling, or just seeking more fulfillment in some way, shape, or form. But then the Nine of Wands here is like looking back, right? Like, you know what? Yeah, the situation has hurt me, but should I go back, right? Maybe you're thinking to yourself, well, you know what? We put in so much time towards it. Should I just go back? So it's like a one foot in, one foot out type of energy, So that could be what's going on too. Maybe you do decide to walk away, right? And then all of a sudden you start to reconsider. Like, was that the right move, Maybe I missed this person, or whatever the case may be. If it's a relationship you left behind, or a job, right? Maybe you abruptly stormed into the office and was like, hey, I want to get out of here. Because you guys are going to have Mercury in retrograde in your 6th house. And 6th house represents work. 10th house is usually more career, but our work life, our day-to-day routine, that's all very much a part of that too. So maybe with that Mercury retrograde in the 6th house, maybe, you guys might have a bit of an outburst in the workplace, and then be dealing with the fallout from that. You might be like, all right, you know what? I was sure that I wanted to quit in that moment because I was so pissed off, or whatever the case may be. Now you might be thinking it over, like, all right, you know what? Maybe I, overblew the situation in some way, shape, or form, and I should go back. But I would see this as a bit more of an ominous thing if this is what you're dealing with. As far as looking at the environment position, we have the Devil card. So for some of you, straight up, what this could be, this is Capricorn energy again, by the way, the Major Arcana card for Capricorn. But what this could be for some of you is a karmic relationship, without a doubt. Because, that Tower moment, the way I look at the Tower moment, all right, so the Devil is 15. The Tower card is 16. The Devil card is usually, to me, it points to karmic relationships, sometimes ego as well. And that Tower moment usually is that considered the divine intervention. The last thing people might think of when they look at that artwork is divine intervention, right? But that's what that lightning bolt usually represents, which is to say, okay, should a lightning bolt have done that much damage to that tower, right? No, probably not, right? So it probably wasn't as stable of a tower as they thought it was, right? So that's what we say. Usually your ego has you believing that something's here to stay. It's for good, right? Oh, this is mine. If it's a relationship, a career path, whatever the case may be, yeah, this is it. This is the real deal. This is perfect. This is for life. And then something comes along and takes it away all of a sudden. So if this is some kind of karmic connection, be it a job, a habit, for some of you, actually, what this could even be saying is that maybe you were too focused on career, right? And maybe that caused issues in your home environment. That's one way that it could play out as well. But the main thing I'm getting with that Devil card here is that some of you are involved in a karmic relationship. It was time for you to get out of it. Maybe you were dragging your feet, because to me, like I said, that World card represents a completion. So it's like, okay, your karma was completed with this person. Could have been a Capricorn, certainly, or any earth sign. And it's like, okay, your karma is completed with this person. You're free to move on. And, instead of accepting that and saying, okay, I'm going to take the lessons that I, should have learned from this and move on to the next one. Part of you could be like, yeah, you know what, but I don't know. Maybe I want to go back. So just watch out for that. If that resonates for you, just keep that in mind. This could represent the karmic bond. And the thing is, you look at the two people, they're chained together, so it's like, hey, you can stay in that cycle for as long as you want. You know, it's like you could just keep going through this over and over and over again, but just know that usually, eventually, it ends up in the tower. So, um, just something to keep in mind there. All right. In the hopes or fears position, you guys got the Five of Pentacles. So this is another pretty dark looking card, but the thing is, it's in the hopes or fears position. So this is usually just what's on your mind. And I'm going to assume this is a fear. Obviously, this doesn't look like the most pleasant card. So again, that could be it. You know, maybe you walk away from this karmic connection, right? You're like, I got to get out of here. They're not treating me right, whatever's going on. But then you have that, hesitation, like, oh, you know what? Maybe you get lonely after a little bit, right? Because you've been with them for so long. You're like, oh, I don't know. You start to hesitate. Should I go back to them? Mercury retrograde could also always bring that type of energy out of people as well. And it's saying that you would be doing that out of fear because you're afraid of being, feeling left out in the cold. You might not be ready to stand on your own, basically. Let's put it that way. So if this is correct, what I was saying about, maybe this is pointing to your friends really helping you out and helping you get through that situation. That might be very helpful to have that energy there because, maybe they could stop you from going back. Maybe they'll remind you of all the bad things the person did to you, right? Or even just, when you're feeling lonely, they're like, oh, come on, let's go out, let's do this, let's do that, to keep your mind off of the situation, right? To really just let it fall away, if that's what it's supposed to be. And then in the outcome position, we got some interesting cards. We got the Seven of Swords, the Three of Cups, and the Six of Wands. So this is like a really random pairing of cards. When I was laying it out, I'm like, I don't really know what to think of that, but we'll talk it through, see what it's about. Let's start with the cards one by one. Seven of Swords is usually pointing to some kind of deception. It doesn't always have to be infidelity, but that's the first thing people think of with this card. And I'll admit, a lot of times that does seem to be what it points to. So let's give you an example of what that could be. These swords represent each person in a committed relationship, right? And then this person is saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to do what I want to do because I know at the end of the day, I still have this relationship connection, So, I could do whatever I want. So it doesn't necessarily have to mean cheating. This could be going out with their friends. This could be working on hobbies or whatever. Just evading responsibility in the relationship altogether. And knowing that they're leaving the other person with the rest of the work, but they're like, you know what? I don't care. But the thing is, if you look at the way they're holding those swords, that usually represents that basically it's one of those things where they will get caught eventually, right? Whether they come back, their hands are all cut up, or, they start bleeding because as they're walking away because of the way they're holding the swords, it's like, all right, usually you don't get very far if that's the energy you're in. So the reason I say that could be the case, usually with the Three of Cups, it's very rare for me personally. I know a lot of tarot readers jump to third-party situation when they see this. It's very rare for me, but combined with the Seven of Swords, that definitely could be what it's about. So maybe you find out that was the situation. But what's interesting is this card here, the Six of Wands, represents a bit of victory, similar to the Chariot card, just, the minor arcana version of it. So for me, maybe it's one of those things where, for some of you, maybe intuitively, right, you're like, okay, this person's doing something shady, right? And maybe that was the challenge, right? Maybe other people didn't believe you. They're like, oh, they wouldn't do that. Maybe you're overreacting, right? And you're like, oh, like, no, they really are. And so, maybe people were taking their side. And then finally something comes out. People, maybe they see them out doing this, or they just get caught in some way, shape, or form. And now you feel vindicated. Like, see, I told you people, this is what this person was doing, For others of you, let's say if this was a workplace dynamic, right? Maybe someone was saying that you had done something wrong when you didn't, right? And then maybe, they thought that they got away with it, right? They're celebrating it, but then all of a sudden, your name gets cleared and you feel vindicated in that regard. Like I said, this is an interesting pairing, these three cards. So It's definitely some weird energies, but that's the main vibe that I'm getting. Something comes out about the deception. And it could be flat out like whoever discovers the deception right away, they're celebrating that, okay, we finally caught them in the act, right? And feeling victorious and vindicated in that regard. But yeah, because like I said, the main thing with this energy is, yes, it sucks to think of a deceptive energy around you like that, but they usually get caught. And then that could be what these cards are just representing. Like, look, we finally caught them in the act. We're good to go now. We can move forward. We're vindicated. Trying to see if I get any other messages with this. Nope, but I would say just keep in mind, I mean, most of this energy I'm looking at, I would say it would be a very small percentage of you that's actually doing this. But the one thing I would say, especially because, like I said, it seems like you're mostly on the up and up, but try to keep in mind, if you can, no matter how tempting it may be, try to avoid going like an eye for an eye, right? Maybe that could be what this is saying. You're like, you know what, they did this, that, and the other to me. I'm going to get them back, right? So you do that, and then you're celebrating the fact that, okay, I got them back, because as much as the Queen of Swords in the upright represents balance and fairness, in your eyes, if that would be fair, right? Oh, well, they did this to me, now I'm going to do this to them, eye for an eye type stuff. To you, that might be restoring balance, but, keep in mind that could just get you stuck in a karmic pattern, and maybe that could be what this is saying too. Don't get caught up in that karmic cycle of toxicity. It's like if you know this is what they're doing, best thing to do, be strong, just walk away from it, leave it behind, All right, let's see what the oracle cards add to the mix. So you guys got deep knowing. There's the artwork for it, and the number there is 43, in case that number resonates with you in some way. All right, let's read that message first. Okay, it says intuition, listening to the oracle within, empathy, hypersensitivity. The oracle's message. Intuition is the faculty that allows you to enter into a dialogue with Source, the consciousness that you are a part of but cannot see with the naked eye. It's perplexing that people are taught to ignore this natural capacity to navigate their journeys, to access their inner guidance. Know that you have an ability to read between the lines and find all the truth that was missing when the story was told. This deep knowing allows you to open the door to wisdom far greater than what is available in the limitations of human experience. You're given information that may make no sense whatsoever to the logical mind or five senses, but which is 100% correct and true. The trick is to listen and then to act accordingly. You're now invited into this sacred dialogue of deep knowing, so tune in and trust your vibes. They will be right. Ask and you will receive answers from unusual sources. So the part about, asking you will receive answers from unusual sources and trust your vibes, that's interesting too, because I was saying, maybe that angle that I was talking about, where maybe you guys intuitively are like, you know what, I know they're up to something, and maybe everyone around you is like, no, that's not, you're probably just exaggerating or imagining things. Then something does come out, you're like, see, I told you. So like I said, that doesn't have to necessarily be a romantic relationship. Could be in the workplace, friends, whatever. It could be anything. All right, the relationship message says, there are occasions when you just know, deep in your heart and soul, that a person is going to play a meaningful role in your life. Someone crosses your path and suddenly, out of the blue, you're connected at a level impossible to describe. That feeling marks a moment in time etched indelibly onto your soul. Someone has entered your life who will be instrumental in your journey, so pay attention. Two hearts are calling to each other to begin an alchemical process. This is also a sign that your intuition about the person you care about is correct. Trust your heart to lead you now. Magic is about to happen. So interestingly enough, like I was saying, I didn't really get a huge relationship vibe there, as far as something new coming along. But maybe that could even be what this is. Maybe you guys meet a Leo, and with the major arcana card representing them, that would represent somebody who would be a karmic connection, but could be in a good way, right? Especially if you went through that, which would be more of like a negative karmic connection. So, maybe the scales are being balanced out for you guys in that regard. All right, and the prosperity message says, this is the time when your hunches will pay large dividends if you listen to them. Take the risk and act. Within you there is an oracular consciousness, a higher and deeper knowing that transcends the machinations of the smaller thinking mind. At the deep level of your intuitive senses, you have an access point to the genius of the collective. The energies of all thinkers and creators, all inventors and leaders, and all that you need in order to leap into success are available to tune into. This is an act of listening intently. Past the busy mind, your genius awaits. Okay, so this is the time when your hunches will pay large dividends. Maybe that could be what the strength energy represents as well. Like being in the spotlight, and like I said, Venus in your fifth house, that could boost creativity for you. Maybe you get some kind of sudden insights there, and something brings you some success in that regard. But overall, honestly, I didn't get a huge connection between the oracle messages and the main spread. Usually they're pretty on par with each other, so maybe some of you guys will resonate more with the main spread, and then others of you resonate more with the oracle card. But hopefully you're getting something out of the reading somewhere, in some way, shape, or form, if it doesn't all resonate for you. And then the second oracle card we got is Elephant Spirit. It says, learn from the past. There's the artwork for it, and then the number there is 25. Take a look at that message. I don't think I've gotten that one before. Okay, it says, although we often wish we could leave the past behind, Elephant Spirit reminds us that memory matters. We must respect the wisdom of the elders who hand down to us traditions they have shaped to express our connection to each other and respect for the community. What has come before informs what we are experiencing today, and we must never forget our legacy of strength and dignity. Elephant Spirit appears with the message that we are to acknowledge that which came before and learn from it. All of us are memory-based creatures, and we must revisit the past to understand where we are and where we are going. The stories of events you experience, the stories in collective memory, and the stories of relationships you have had can be told many ways. What story will you tell? Elephant Spirit is here to encourage you to make it one that stirs in you a sense of power and dignity, for you have honored yourself by choosing to learn from your past. Spirit rejoices at your willingness to learn and grow. So what's interesting to me about that, it says, encourage you to make it one that stirs in you a sense of power and dignity. That made me think immediately of the Strength card in the near future. So, learn from your past. It does make it sound like it's saying that in a positive way, like there are positive things from your past. But with the Tower there and those, the fourth house card representing, this represents the fourth house forever with that in the challenger obstacle position. It could also be releasing negative things. Maybe you realize a negative pattern that you've had in your upbringing, and now you're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to break that cycle. So that could be what's going on with that. But hopefully that message resonated for you as well. And then lastly, we have a mudra card to look at. So if you guys haven't seen my readings the past couple of months, I've been pulling mudra cards for each of the signs. And basically what they are is they're gestures or poses that you would do while you're meditating. Usually want to hold them for 5 minutes. Some say up to 45 minutes, but if you're not someone who meditates regularly, that would probably feel like an eternity. So, 5 minutes you could try at least to start. And then if you find that this is helping you, maybe you could increase it as you go along. But the Keyword for this one is deliverance, and it's the Shakata mudra. And I'll, show you guys the messages here in case you wanted to pause it or take a screenshot to read what it says. But yeah, as far as benefits, it says strengthens the immune system, facilitates breathing in the lower lobes of the lungs, improves concentration, and benefits the large intestine. So that sounds like something you guys would find helpful. What I'll do is I'll put the name of this in the actual description of the video in case you guys want to look it up on, maybe even YouTube videos, or check Google, see if they have more info on it there. But if not, we'll wrap up there. You guys can follow me on Instagram if you want, where we have a little bit more fun with tarot and astrology. And as far as personal readings, I'm not going to be offering them. For those of you who watch this when I post it, it's going to be about mid-February when I post it. I'm not going to be doing private readings until March because I'm going to be traveling for a bit. So, for those of you who do watch it before March begins, just so you know, I won't be doing personal readings again until March 1st. But after that, they should be open again. So if you guys are interested in that, check out the About section of my channel for more info there. But if not, I'll see you guys next month. All right, bye.